Hey guys, welcome to another Life Success Factors video. So today I want to talk about how you can overcome your limiting beliefs and why your limiting beliefs are holding you back from doing things like starting your YouTube channel in 2026. Now, I know your time is valuable and I want to respect that. So in this video, I'll be talking about some of the limiting beliefs I've had and how I've actually overcome them to be able to start my YouTube channel. But go a little bit broader than that and talk about some of my personal and professional journeys through my career and how I've been able to overcome some of the limiting beliefs that have held me back at certain points in time. So let's get into it. So what is a limiting belief? I think very simply, a limiting belief is just something that we tell ourselves. It's a thought that comes into our mind that almost paralyzes us with fear. It doesn't give us motivation. In fact, it's something that zaps our motivation and takes it away from all of the good that we could be doing in the world, a lot of the impact that we could be having. And it's very natural for us to have limiting beliefs. Some people call this imposter syndrome, if you've heard about that. And imposter syndrome is essentially, it's a very similar line of thinking where, we don't give ourselves the opportunity, or we doubt that we can actually do the thing that we're actually doing. Look, let's say you've been promoted in your job to a manager position, and the imposter syndrome inside you says, oh, well, I'm not good enough for this, or I can't actually perform as a manager because I've never done it before, and I'll fail. And you start to tell yourself all of these untruths about who you are and your ability and your ability to perform, which are not really founded in anything, but they're just founded in fear. And I think being able to overcome that fear it almost becomes a superpower. So how do you overcome this? I think the first thing is that sometimes you have to take action before you can do anything else. And by take action, I mean, don't overthink things. Sometimes our worst enemy is actually overthinking things and thinking and trying to plan things in such a way that it just takes away all of the energy and all of our ability to actually get something done. So what did I do when I started my YouTube channel? Well, you know what? I just took out the camera and I started recording. I was obviously conscious about how I sounded and looked on camera, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it does matter to some degree. You want to look like you're somewhat put together, but look, at the end of the day, it's that level of sort of single focus on things that other people don't really care about, can be a very limiting belief in terms of stopping you from actually taking action. And so I think the best thing that we could do is actually take the first step, is take that action to start on that journey, whether it's picking up the camera, or whether it's writing that email, whatever it is. Just start with something. And it's amazing the momentum that you can build from that one action, which turns into 2 actions, which turns into 6 actions. And that just compounds over time. So that's one way of overcoming your limiting belief, is by taking action. I think belief also takes an important role. Sometimes that you have to believe that you can do something before you can actually do it. A really simple example is, do you remember when you were learning to ride a bike or learning to swim? No one is born knowing how to do those things, but at some point you just had to believe that you could do it before you did it. and combined with action, it made sure that you could actually achieve that and do those things. Another good example is, let's say you're starting a new university course, and you don't really know anything about the subjects that you're going to be learning about. Well, you have to have some degree of motivation and belief in yourself that you will be able to learn what's being taught. And so belief plays a really important role in being able to overcome, let's say, a limiting belief. And it's funny how those two words play together. But belief is important or belief in yourself and belief in your abilities is an important, let's say, enabler for overcoming a limiting belief. So that's number two. And I think the third one, the third way you can overcome a limiting belief, especially as it relates to starting your YouTube channel, is not believing that you've got something valid to say. And I think that's a very common limiting belief, thinking that what you have to say or your perspective doesn't matter. And I talked about this in another video that I'll link below. But having the pride, having the motivation, or not motivation, but having the belief, there you go, there's that word again, but believing that your opinion matters and someone out there is actually going to be interested in hearing about what you have to say, I think is something that we have to constantly remind ourselves of. And you have to remember that, sometimes what you're talking about, you're not talking about because of you. You're creating your videos for other people to consume. And everyone's different. Everyone's journey is different. And what you have to say may not necessarily be that interesting to you, although you should have some interest in it. But what you have to say may be incredibly interesting to someone who wants to achieve similar outcomes to what you've achieved, or wants to live the life that you live, or wants to be able to emulate some part of who you are. That's incredibly powerful for them. And so don't discount what you have to say, and don't think that what you have to say doesn't matter, because it does, and people are interested in hearing about that, and you'd be shocked at how much value you have to add to someone's life just by creating a video about something that you find interesting but a little bit mundane. There are people out there that would find it incredibly useful. And I can give you an example. I love talking about consulting and what it means to be a better consultant, or, I'm passionate about personal finance and investing. A lot of people may not be interested in it, but a lot of people may be interested in it, despite the fact that there are thousands or hundreds of thousands of other people that are talking about the same topic. But what's interesting is that there's only one person that has the perspective that I have, and that's because it's my perspective, and it's my opinions, and it's my thoughts. And so, you should leverage that. You should leverage the fact that we all have a unique perspective. We all have a unique point of view that we can add to the conversation on even the most mundane or basic things that people are searching for that, especially in this age where everything is becoming digitized and automated, and with the rise of artificial intelligence, that need for a human connection and a human view will become increasingly more important, and that's something that AI can't replace. So use that as a bit of motivation, guys, to overcome your limiting beliefs. I hope this has been useful. these are just some ways to overcome limiting beliefs, and there are, countless other ways. And I encourage you to, read up on those ways, watch other YouTubers, seek help if you need to from licensed professionals. By no means am I able to, solve everyone's problems, but I've got a perspective that might be useful to think about. So if you like this video, leave a like down below, leave a comment. What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you like to hear me talk about more? I'd be happy to follow up with another video. Until next time, guys, peace. Cheers.